The Best Hit USA。
こんばんは、小林和也です。今日はこの人をスタジオに迎えております。Iggy Pop です。Welcome.
Thank you very much.
I was kind of surprised you sound like that, you know. You sound like me, actually.
Hello there, groovy guys and gals. Here's the, yeah.
But you really get wild. I mean, you sound wild when you're on the stage, right?
Sometimes, yeah. I used to hide having a deep voice on my records because I thought it was too mellow. So I used to try to, you know, sort of nasal it out and go, "Want to be your dog," and everything. But I enjoy singing. So. Yeah.
Speaking of the style, our opinion has been that David Bowie has borrowed or adopted your vocal. Do you feel that way, or have you ever talked about it?
No, we never talked about it.
No, some people say David Bowie stole the vocal from him.
When we did an album called The Idiot in 1976, and he encouraged me very much to sing low. He was producing, and he'd talk through the board and say, whoa, wait a minute, I think if you'd sing that lower, you'll sound more impressive. Up till then, I had been doing strictly very, very racy hard rock and only sang low on one or two songs out of my first 3 albums. And he heard those, and he said, I like you best when you do that. Let's try something like that. And I began doing it, and I think hearing me do it, then on his next album, which was Low,
Yeah.
he started singing low. I think one of the things that he enjoys about working with me is that he can produce an Iggy Pop album and use it to try out all sorts of ideas for the first time that may later give him a beginning on doing some of them further himself. I think he uses me for practice.
What about Blah Blah Blah? Was it? It's been 10 years
Since we worked together, yeah. Uh-huh.
How did the reunion happen?
I was working with Steve Jones, and I'd finished some demos, and I came over to play them for David one day because I was grateful that I'd had the time because of his recording of China Girl. It had given me a chance to kind of get off the road and work in the studio independently. Financially, it was very helpful, and he really liked what I was doing, so he immediately said, I want to produce it, you know, right then. I thought, oh no, all I need is a giant pop star for my producer. You know, no thanks. But on the other hand, it was kind of like, gee, but he's really good, and I work good with him. So I thought about it. I felt kind of jealous. You know what I mean? Like, gee, you know, if he's the producer, he's going to get all the attention because he's such a big star and he's handsome. You know, he's rich. You know, very interesting. You know, maybe nobody's going to pay any attention to me. I thought about that. I thought, but on the other hand, who do I write good songs with? And who could give it a little extra intelligence that someone else wouldn't? So I decided to work with him. It went like that.
Yeah, and we had the story that he might travel with you as a keyboardist.
No, he did that once. Once is enough, I think,
Yeah.
you know. He's doing his own tour now.
Now, tell us about performing. I mean, I have been seeing your video, and do you do the movement from sort of? Do you plan the movement, or do you?
I see.
It comes out very natural.
I don't plan it in the sense that say the Jacksons,
The
like
choreographer.
like Janet or Michael, or nothing like that. But as what I do generally is get into rehearsal with the band, and then just see what feels right, and you build up a repertoire of kind of movements that you know you've got in your bag, and then once you have those fundamentals, then you get out on a stage, and there are real people, hopefully stimulating people that you like in the audience. When you see them, somehow something clicks in my mind, and I'm able to elaborate and really get much more into the movement than I possibly can on my own. It goes like that. But no, I never plan. I plan only a very rough sketch.
Yeah.
But you do plan a rough sketch. You plan a format. In other words, basically kind of know how you're going to begin and how you're going to end. And there are little key places in between, sure. A lot of times on a tour like this, where I've played maybe 70 shows so far, I've gotten to the point where I have to tell myself, before the Tokyo shows, I sat very still and I concentrated and I just said to myself over and over, you won't do the moves you know. You won't go through the paces tonight. Because after a while you start to have all this stuff down and people can tell. So I was like, and when you get to this point and you usually do this thing, you're not gonna do that tonight. You're gonna force yourself to come up with something else or have nothing and look like a fool. So you have to tell yourself that sometimes. That's what I feel anyway, because, you know, I think the essence of dance and music, I think what human beings look for from it is people look to be elevated and uplifted, and dance is about levitating. And so it's not always so good just to be running through something again and again.
The routine stuff. Yeah.
Otherwise you're not exploring. That's what I think, anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm a real wild one. Wild one. Wild one. Wild one. Iggy Pop, Real Wild Child.
I want to ask you, since you brought up Steve
Jones.
Yeah. It was around 76, 77 when they, you know, those guys came out.
Yeah.
And that was the days of the punk, and somebody tagged you as the godfather of the
Sure.
punk. And, but looking back at your career, you've been around, what, 20 something, right? 20 years?
My first record was in 1969, so it's been 18 years.
18 years.
But I started singing in 67, so it's been 20 years.
20 years. What was the climaxes?
He's dying. He's 20 years old.
Yeah. What were the climaxes? I mean, you have been
In that
witnessing-
period, what were
Yeah.
the climaxes? Oh, good. That's good. Good way to look at it. The first climax was getting from beginning the band till the first time we had the guts to play for anybody. That was Halloween 1967. We went and we played for our friends in a living room. I played Hawaiian guitar, like sitting cross-legged like this.
The steel guitar?
Yeah, on my lap, playing it like this, with every string tuned to E. It sounded like a big airplane. And the drummer just beat on oil cans. And we had a real bass guitar, and all our friends, one by one, left the room, and they were very embarrassed for me. They were very, like, gee, Jim used to be a pretty good drummer and kind of a nice guy. It's a real shame. I'm very sorry for him.
Was that improvisation or?
No, those are my songs. Those are my first songs. And then, the Stooges went underground, and we didn't come up again until March 1968. And that was, so all winter we rehearsed, and then we played our first gig. We got $50 for our first gig, for everybody put together. And that gig, I pulled out all the stops. I wore golf shoes with steel spikes, and I had a piece of galvanized steel on the floor with a contact mic, so that I could beat time while I danced. And I had still had the steel guitar, but I was wearing it standing up, and I played a vacuum cleaner as well with my thumb to make the noise of like the desert wind. Ooh. And I had many instruments around the stage that I'd invented. I've been getting into guys like John Cage and Harry Partch and everything. And I wore whiteface as well, and a big aluminum fright wig and a maternity dress.
Maternity dress?
Yes. Yeah, and we did a gig. We were second bill to Blood, Sweat, and Tears. And most of the audience left after our show. They loved us and ignored the packaged entertainment. And then we really started taking off. And the next big milestone was when I found out I could write songs. And I wrote I Want to Be a Dog, 1969, No Fun, and then some other ones. But those were the main three. And then everything, I think I think most of the exciting stuff that happens to you happens in the first year. That was the first really big year of my career. The next 19 years have been sort of more, maybe more glorious. More people know about it. But in my heart, that was the best.
Can you sometimes see you 10 years after?
From now? I've been asked that, yeah. Well, it's funny because, you know, I turned 40 on stage here 2 nights ago, 3 nights ago. And I was also here on my 30th birthday. And between 30 and 40, I'm still singing a lot of the same songs. Excuse me. So maybe when I'm 50, I don't see why not, you know. Why not? It's a good song, you know. I want to be your dog one more time. You know, what the hell?
Okay.
All right.
We'll see you maybe 10 years later.
Okay, great.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.